This is a quick video to show you how to use Logos's visual filters to aid you in your Bible study and homework. Let's open our English Standard Version as well as the don't you want the Lexham Hebrew Bible, not the English Bible. There we are. And we've got it open here to Genesis 37, the beginning of the Joseph story. And if we go up to Documents and down to Visual Filter, it will allow us to use the what's already been tagged in the Bible grammatically with the various parts of speech and parsings to search and highlight certain grammatical features. We're going to be doing the morphological search here, which does include all those grammatical all that grammatical goodness that we're interested in. And we're searching all the text. We can, since we're searching just in Hebrew, we can do in Old Testament. Doesn't obviously you're not going to find much Hebrew in the New Testament. And you can specify what individual resource you want to search in, or you want it to show up in. But we'll go ahead and leave it for all resources, so it'll show up in both the ones we have open here. And lastly, with the source we actually want to use, the morphology, we could either use the Anderson-Forbes Hebrew morphology or the Logos Hebrew morphology. I recommend doing the Logos Hebrew morphology right now. It's the terminology they use in it is much closer to what we actually use in class, so you'll be more familiar with it. The Hebrew Forbes has more advanced and more detailed information, but we don't need to get into all that right now. So we've got those parameters set. What you'll want to do is just type the @ symbol, and it pulls up various parts of speech. That little @ symbol lets Logos know we're looking to do a grammatical search here. So let's say we wanted to search for all the common masculine plural nouns. What we could have that do is just highlight all of them in blue for us. And there it is. We can see the various nouns, common nouns only. Jacob's not highlighted. Bilhah, Zilpah, and Joseph, none of those are highlighted. These are just the common nouns, and they're just the plural nouns, and just the masculine nouns. And so there's sojournings, common masculine plural, brothers, common masculine plural, sons. You may notice a few oddities like wives is actually masculine. Wives is a irregular verb, or excuse me, irregular noun in Hebrew, and it is actually masculine. That's one of the few Hebrew nouns that the natural gender and the grammatical gender actually contradict each other. Kind of uncommon, but wives appear so often that most people are aware of that and able to just kind of adapt to that. The other odd one you may notice is old age is actually a plural noun, as we see there. That's common to see in Hebrew as well. Abstract concepts are often translated or often represented by the Hebrew in a plural noun, as opposed to in old age we'd regard that as singular in English, and so the translation reflects that, but in Hebrew it's plural. What is probably more useful for you than the nouns in this case, though, is if we did this with verbs, because that's what our homework is on. And so here we are. Let's highlight the verbs. We're going to skip highlighting any of the stems right now. Obviously, there's a lot of them. We're going to be learning the 7 major stems, and what their meaning is, but we're just going to leave that alone for now. What we're interested in right now is the tense aspect mood. In class, we call this the conjugation, but Logos has it uh, listed as tense aspect mood, which is fine. That's, you can mouse over that and see a more detailed explanation of what they're doing there. And we're concerned not with these bottom four, the imperatives, the infinitives, participles, passive participles. We haven't learned those yet, so leave those alone. But these first five, we talked about the perfect, the Vav plus perfect, the imperfect, the Vav consecutive imperfect, and the Vav conjunctive imperfect. So let's wrap all those together. All of them are highlighted. They're going to pop up in blue again. And boom, Logos is ready to go. And all our verbs that we're interested in are highlighted. And we can just mouse over them, and it'll give us the parsing information on that. Just looking at this first one, we can see it's a Kal Wayictol, or Vav consecutive imperfect, third person masculine singular. We know it's that past tense. That third person masculine singular would be he, whatever the verb root is, and we know that Jacob is going to end up being our subject here, but if we pull this up from the root Yeshav, we can actually right-click on that, and it will pull up the option to look at our concise Hebrew and Aramaic lexicon, and we can see that Yeshav has several possible meanings. We could translate it as sit down, sit, crouch, remain sitting, or dwell, live. So Jacob sat, he sat down, Jacob crouched, or Jacob dwelt or lived. And sure enough, that last one is what the ESV does here. Jacob lived in the land of his father's sojournings in the land of Canaan. Obviously, for the context, that makes much more sense because it's contrasting Jacob now remaining, living in this land, as opposed to his fathers who just were still wandering through the land. They were sojourning there. At this point, Jacob is actually settling down and establishing himself in the land. And that is what we can do with our visual filters in Logos.